One of the biggest songs in rock history took almost a decade to be written. It nearly tore the band apart and it cost millions of dollars just to bring to life. Well, this is the full story of November Rain by Guns N' Roses, a track that's way more than just a power ballad that your dad likes. Let's rewind. By the late 80s, Guns N' Roses were famous and notorious. Their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, had completely blown the roof off the rock world. But behind the chaos, Axl Rose was already dreaming up something bigger. He didn't just want to scream over huge hair metal riffs. He wanted to write epics. He wanted to write symphonies. So at the centre of those ambitions was November Rain. The song was released on their Use Your Illusion 1 album. Those are the back-to-back albums that they released on the same day, on September the 17th, 1991. The song is the centrepiece of the record, but for fans of the band, it's a surprise. Fans knew Guns N' Roses for their harsher, bleaker and heavier rock and roll sound. Well, this was different. Axl had been playing around with this song as far back as 1983, before the band was even a household name.
Well, Axl came up with a skeletal version of it when the band was just formed, and he came up with a piano version of it, but there was never any band version of it.
He'd sit at the piano late at night, tinkering with melodies and trying to stitch together something sprawling and emotional. Friends at the time said he was obsessed over it. There was even a 10-minute demo recorded during the Appetite for Destruction sessions, and Slash even recalls an 18-minute version from 1986. But Axl wasn't satisfied. He told Rolling Stone in 1988 that if the song wasn't recorded properly, he'd quit music altogether. It had been ready to go since Appetite for Destruction, but since we had Sweet Child of Mine, the majority of us agreed that we didn't need another ballad. Axl had been annoyed that we held it until the next album because that song meant a lot to him. He let it go though.
When we went in to do the album, it was coming down between that and Sweet Child, and I knew November Rain wasn't done. I didn't really want anybody to help me write it. And at the same time, I knew that it was gonna take a lot of work to do what I wanted to do, and I really didn't feel capable, and that the people around me were capable of understanding what I was trying to do, and that there was enough time to do it. So we decided to save it.
Whether it was Axl's hunt for perfection that delayed the song, or it was the band's choice, we'll never know. Well, do you want to know the inspiration behind the song? There are actually a few things. Surprisingly, Elton John and the opening track for his classic album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Axl wanted the song to channel the song Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding. And he asked drummer Matt Sorum to bass the drum fills on Elton's song Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
He used a lot more drums. He used a lot more toms. I set up more tom-toms. Because Axl said to me, he said, kind of want to make this song like Nigel Olsson type drumming, right? And I went, yeah, Nigel Olsson from Elton John's original band.
On top of this, he was also inspired by Motley Crue's Tommy Lee and his piano playing on Home Sweet Home. Tommy Lee was a major influence on the song. It was the first time I saw Home Sweet Home, and watching the part of doing the piano, it made me realise that I could take what I did know about piano and focus it into something simple, but very serious. I saw that video, then shut off the TV and started on November Rain. Axl wanted to embrace the softer sides of Guns N' Roses, something they'd shown off with Sweet Child of Mine. Also, it was partly based on his own turbulent love life. Axl's relationship with Erin Everly, daughter of Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. Their relationship was fiery, passionate and filled with ups and downs. She and Axl had a tumultuous relationship, a short-lived Vegas marriage in 1990 and a devastating miscarriage. She was also the inspiration behind Sweet Child of Mine and the only woman that Axl Rose ever married. The fear of his love fading bleeds through his lyrics. But here's the catch. Guns N' Roses weren't really a band known for 9-minute ballads with orchestras and strings and whatever. They were the kings of sleaze rock, the soundtrack to bar fights and late nights, the sound of the Sunset Strip. Slash and Duff McKagan loved their dirty riffs and the grooves. So when Axl started pushing for this massive piano-driven epic, not everyone was actually on board. Slash has admitted that he was skeptical at first. He thought maybe that they were losing the edge that made them Guns N' Roses in the first place. But eventually he gave in, and thank God he did. Now we had this piano and an orchestra, backup singers, and all this kind of crap we didn't necessarily want as a band, but it was something Axl wanted, and that's what he got. Recording November Rain was no small feat. The band was already in chaos. Drummer Steven Adler had been kicked out for his drug issues, replaced by drummer Matt Sorum from The Cult. Despite him being a newbie, he too was skeptical of the song. I felt like I didn't really sign up for this, all these ballads. I was hoping to join a badass rock and roll band. I was like, what's with the piano? Izzy Stradlin, the rhythm guitarist and Axl's longtime friend, was also becoming increasingly distant, probably because of the drugs. When it came time to rehearse for their upcoming world tour, the band's manager urged them to get out of Los Angeles. The idea was to escape the temptations that they were all too vulnerable to in their hometown. So in the summer of 1989, they relocated to Chicago for 2 months. Chicago was still a big city with everything you'd need to make an album, but it didn't carry the same distractions, or so they hoped. The band set up shop on the 4th floor of the Metro on Clark Street. That space became their rehearsal room, though rehearsal might be a generous word for what went down. They generally raised hell the entire time. They rented condos just down the street in the heart of Wrigleyville, a neighbourhood packed with bars and buzzing with fans heading to the Cubs games in the middle of summer. The atmosphere in the area was pure party mode, and of course the band dove right into it. Slash has admitted that at the time he was drinking nearly 4 litres of vodka every single day, with Duff McKagan doing it right alongside him. Drugs were still being consumed heavily by everyone in the group. Axl Rose, however, didn't even show up for weeks at a time, and when he finally did show up, he hated what the rest of the band had been half-heartedly piecing together in between their benders. He only wanted to work on November Rain. Much of his energy was spent working on the song, and Slash later described the song as the sound of our band breaking up. So the attempt to relocate the band to a new city didn't exactly work. Eventually, the songs that would make up Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 were recorded between 1990 and 1991 across multiple studios in Los Angeles and Canada. At long last, nearly a decade after he first began writing it, Axl Rose was finally satisfied with November Rain, and the song was ready for release in the early 90s. He wanted this song to feel like their Stairway to Heaven or their Bohemian Rhapsody. And to be honest, he wasn't wrong. When the final cut landed on Use Your Illusion 1 in 1991, it stood out immediately. Most of the album is hard rock swagger, so just take a listen to the first song on the record, Right Next Door to Hell. November Rain isn't the only ballad. Take a listen to Don't Cry. But then, compared to them, you had November Rain, nearly 9 minutes long. It's cinematic, and radio stations had to actually release shorter edits, but it's the full version that's become the definitive cut. And despite the song's length, it still managed to climb to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1992. That's insane for a song that long. But let's be honest, part of what cemented November Rain in history wasn't just the music, it was the music video. MTV was a huge cultural force at the time, so they went all in for the next 2 albums, making sure their videos were iconic. they hired director Andy Morahan, known for cinematic videos like George Michael's father figure. With a budget of $1.5 million, November Rain became the most expensive music video ever made at that time. You had Axl Rose at the altar with Stephanie Seymour, his real-life girlfriend at the time, playing the bride. And she also played the bride in the video to Don't Cry. In November Rain, you have the sweeping shots of Slash walking out of the tiny church in the middle of nowhere, tearing into one of the most iconic guitar solos ever recorded. It also reminds me of the church from Kill Bill. And then you've got the sudden storm at the wedding reception, the tragic funeral, the coffin, and finally the bouquet falling into the grave. The music video actually forms a loose trilogy. The other songs in the trilogy are Don't Cry and Estranged. The music videos are based on a short story called Without You by Del James, a friend of Axl's and the band's road manager.
On a night where Axl called me when he was still living with his girlfriend, who later on became his wife, Erin Everly, at about 4 o'clock in the morning and said, dude, you have to come over here.
He started writing this story kind of based off my relationship, and use that kind of like for inspiration.
I'm just going to read the summary of this story for you guys. Most of the plot unfolds in flashbacks, so main man, 28, a top-selling rock musician, is shattered when his girlfriend Elizabeth kills herself after their stormy relationship, mainly due to him cheating on her all the time. He writes a hit ballad called Without You based on their relationship. After she misses his show, he finds her dead with the song on repeat, and he attempts suicide with her revolver, but it's empty. So finally, overcome by fame, drink and drugs, he smashes his guitars and starts playing one as a cigarette ignites his apartment and he dies in the flames. Little bit depressing. Here's another fun fact. November Rain was one of the first music videos to premiere with huge anticipation on MTV. They actually hyped it up like a film release.
Now is the time that you've all been waiting for. Now is the time that the entire world has been waiting for. It's the world premiere of Guns N' Roses' November Rain video, or November Rain film, if you will. A little bit about the song November Rain. November Rain is actually one of the oldest Guns N' Roses songs. I mean, it was done even before Appetite for Destruction was put out. And back in the old days, it used to be like 15 minutes long. I remember anytime you would get Axl by a piano, he would play November Rain. And I think that song and actually Estranged are probably two of the most beautiful rock and roll songs maybe of all time. And I think 20 years down the line, we'll still be hearing November Rain on the radio. It's a brilliant song. Now about the video. The video was recorded in surround sound, so if you happen to be extremely wealthy, you may have surround sound at your house, or even if you've got a good stereo system, turn it up because it's going to sound amazing. Visually, the video is completely amazing. It was done on film. And I don't want to spoil too much about it, so I'll talk to you a little bit after the video. I do want to tell you that the girl in it is supermodel Stephanie Seymour. And watch the video, especially real closely at the people sitting at the wedding table. Here it is, the world premiere of a very amazing video. Here's Guns N' Roses' November Rain.
When it finally dropped, it was everywhere. Decades later, the video reached 1 billion views on YouTube in 2018. And it was doubled to 2 billion by 2023. That's how much power that video has. But beneath the spectacle, November Rain also revealed the cracks inside Guns N' Roses. The band was divided between Axl's obsession with perfection and the other's frustration at how long things were taking. Izzy Stradlin quit not long after Use Your Illusion came out, and Slash admitted later that he never fully connected with the song in the way that Axl did. And as the 1990s wore on, the tensions in the band only got worse. Still, November Rain remains their magnum opus, at least in my opinion. It's the song that proved that Guns N' Roses weren't just a party band from the Sunset Strip. They were capable of creating something truly timeless. When you hear that opening piano, or when Slash's guitar takes flight, you're drawn immediately into Axl's vision. Axl wanted November Rain to be about the instability of love, how nothing lasts forever. And in a way, he was right. His marriage ended, his relationship with Stephanie Seymour ended, and even the classic Guns N' Roses lineup didn't last forever. He even wanted to buy back the music video once it was finished. He never explicitly said why, but I reckon it was due to the breakdown of his relationship with Stephanie. Thank God he never did. November Rain became one of those rare tracks that defined an era and can still move people decades later. And it's a highlight of their live shows to this day. Even today, you put November Rain on and it always hits. It's a song that doesn't age. And I think that is what Axl always wanted. Something bigger than just another hit for a sleazy rock and roll band. He wanted something that would last longer than any band fight or any broken marriage. Or, hey, any cold November rain. Thanks very much for watching, all you rock and rollers. What do you think the best Guns N' Roses song is? And about this video, are there any details that I'm missing out on? Well, let me know down in the comments and I'll join in on the discussion. So as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the number way to grow my channel, and I will see you all down the road.